So this is 5 things I wish I knew before I went to Korea. Last year I went, it was around April time, which I do think was a beautiful and amazing time to go. Obviously, I have not experienced Korea in different seasons. I've only been that one time, but believe me, I've seen so many travel videos and I actually really liked going in April. I did miss cherry blossom season, but I was right there like at the very end. So we did see one, but it wasn't very packed. The weather was really nice and it was beautiful, but I'm already going off topic and we're only the first 30 seconds in. Let's get into my top 5 things I wish I knew before my first trip. Let's go to number 1. So first thing I wish I knew was know to go when you are sitting down. So one of the first things we did, of course, was go to a cafe. When you're in South Korea, what is the first thing you want to do? See all the cafes. Korea is known for all of their cute cafes, their amazing coffee. I swear there was like a coffee shop on every single corner. At least it felt that way. Actually, no, it didn't even feel that way. There's this one corner we were in where it was an intersection, like this, and we're at the one crosswalk on one corner, and literally across there's a coffee shop. Literally every single corner had a coffee shop. But we sat down in a coffee shop day one and I got my coffee to go. And I feel like that's very common, especially in the States. A lot of people just get their coffee to go, like when you go to Starbucks, Dunkin', whatever. And even if you're sitting down, you have that to go cup. But something I did not realize is South Korea actually has a law against that. And the business can get fined if you sit down with a to-go cup. So I got my coffee to go because normally I'll sit down, drink like half of it, and then drink it on my way. And the owner came up to me and there was a little bit of a language barrier. So I thought he was trying to tell me there was something wrong with my coffee. Like he gave me the wrong one. I was like, no, it's okay. Don't even worry about it. I'm like, I'm okay with this coffee. And he's like, no, I need it. And then there was like a little bit back and forth. Literally, it was probably less than a minute, but I was just embarrassed because I didn't know what was going on. So he grabs my coffee and then he comes back and it's in a glass container. And then that's when I kind of realized it. So I do a quick Google and I was like, oh my God, I feel so bad. This guy could have been fined because I just didn't know. So make sure if you're sitting down, you actually get like a regular cup. Don't ask for it to go unless you're actually taking it to go, because it is a law in South Korea. So number 2, you should skip Lote World. And I feel like that is kind of controversial, but hear me out. I think you should only skip it if you're very short on time. So when I went, it was 2 weeks, but the first day of those 2 weeks we were traveling and the last day we were traveling. So really we only had like 10 days in South Korea, and we ended up doing a travel package. It was by CityGo. They don't do it anymore. I don't know why, because CityGo, it was so good. It was such a good deal. Maybe that's why they stopped doing it, because you save so much money. I don't know, but they don't do it anymore. But part of the package was Lote World. So when we went, technically it was free, because the price of the CityGo package tour, you got to choose 5 different places, but to go to all 5 different places, it was literally the cost of one DMZ ticket. And we wanted to go to the DMZ plus a bunch of other things. So literally to get the whole tour was the same price as that one ticket. So technically we considered, 4 out of the 5 free, because that's what it felt like. But even then, like at Lote World, we spent 4 hours just to go on one ride. And this was a Tuesday in the morning. Like you would think everybody would be at school. And I mean, I guess I didn't really see kids much. There was like really, really young kids. And then there was tons of teenagers and adults there. And it was packed, like literally shoulder to shoulder. It wasn't a holiday. It wasn't anything like that. This was just a Tuesday morning and Lote World was packed. Now it was cool to go do and see. And we only got to do that one ride because it took 4 hours for that one ride. Like the lines were crazy. We did download the Lote app, and that, believe it or not, was actually the shortest ride that day. So I don't know, maybe I came on a weird day, but you would think a Tuesday in the morning would be pretty empty. Now I have like went on Reddit just to see if this was a unique experience or something a lot of people deal with. And it seems like a lot of people do have this issue where it's super, super busy there. So yeah, I would recommend skipping it if you're short on time, just because you won't be able to do much anyway. So it may not be worth the price. Now, if you're like me where it's technically free, then it might be worth it just to go in and see. But I don't know if it'd be worth it. They do sell fast passes. I wasn't able to get one. They were sold out by the time we went. So just something to keep in mind. If you're short on time, skip Lote World. But if you're in that area, make sure you do see the Starfield Library. A lot of people say it's overhyped, but I actually loved it. I loved going to that library. I thought it was so cool, so worth it. And I actually didn't think it was as packed as what social media led me to believe. So I was pleasantly surprised how empty it was. Again, it was on a Tuesday because we did it right after Lote World because they're very, very close to each other. But yeah, do see that area, but you may want to skip Lote World. Now, the next thing I wish somebody told me before I went to South Korea was to pack light. Pack so incredibly light, because going on to those trains, because okay, if you're just in Seoul, I guess it doesn't matter. But we went from Seoul to Daegu to Busan, and then Busan back to Daegu, and then Daegu back to Seoul. So we had to take a lot of KTX trains. And it was really hard to lift it up onto the train. Just because it is like, it's a tall platform to get up there, but also there wasn't a lot of space. Sometimes on the KTX, the seat tickets can be full and you'll only have standing tickets. And in the standing areas, they get very packed. So it's just not a good idea to have a lot of stuff. Also, when we were in Seoul, there was tons of construction. So there was a lot of like gravel, and all of our suitcases could not handle that gravel. And even on the side streets were paved, but it was like paved with like, it was like a rock cement mixture. So it was very like bumpy, and it kept making all of our suitcases like tip over left to right over, like it was really hard to pull it. So I recommend packing light. Plus then you'll have more space for souvenirs, and I don't know, it was just so hard to maneuver the suitcases and roll them anywhere. So I don't recommend it. Also, taxi cabs are very, very small. So I went with my family. So I was with my mom, my dad, my sister, and her husband. So there was 5 of us in total, including me. And we had to take 3 different taxi cabs because we all had one like checked bag. So like we had the checked bag, which is the bigger bag. And then we had like our small like personal item. And we ended up having to take 3 taxis for all of us because of our luggage. So that's just another thing to keep in mind. Now, if it was just you would definitely have space. If you just had 2 people, yeah, I think you'd have space. But what ended up happening was me and my mom were in one taxi. John and Kelly were in another taxi. And then my dad was in his own taxi with all of the luggage, basically, because that's just how it worked. And the taxis are also really expensive. We had to do it at one point because there was no other way. So we did have to get a taxi. But also, if you can avoid taxis, try to avoid taxis. Now, the next thing I want to bring up, so number 4, the 4th thing I want to bring up, things I wish I knew before I was going to Korea: book your tickets in advance. Specifically the KTX tickets. So there was one point we got stuck at a train station for 24 hours. So we missed a whole entire day because we did not book our KTX tickets in advance. Now, so many people said, like online through different videos on Reddit forums, you don't have to book it online, just get it when you're there, easy breezy, it's all good. No, don't do that. It's very easy to leave Seoul. So if you're leaving the city, there's so many tickets available, but on your way back, it's not as much. Like we got stuck in Daegu. We were trying to go from Daegu to Seoul, and there was no tickets back to Seoul. There weren't even standing tickets. That's how packed this was. So we ended up staying the whole entire day at the train station, waiting for tickets to be available. Finally, there was a ticket available. And then we ended up going to Seoul, but by the time we landed in Seoul, the public transportation was closed, so we had to take a taxi. And there was such a long line for the taxis because this was the last train to Seoul. We were waiting in line for almost 3 hours before we got to get a taxi. So we missed a whole day, and then our next day was kind of wrecked because we were so tired because we didn't get to the Airbnb till like, I think it was almost 4 a.m. So book your KTX tickets in advance, at least the ones getting back to Seoul. If you're leaving Seoul, you are fine. So just that is another thing to keep in mind. Book in advance. I'm going to Korea again in about 2 months, and I was able to book all my tickets 2 months in advance. So you can definitely do it way in advance. But please do it. That way you don't waste a whole day like we did. Now, the very last thing I want to bring up is learn basic Korean phrases. This is the last thing I wish I knew before going to Korea. Everybody and their mother told me you did not need to know Korean because so many people speak English in Korea, which is pretty true. In Seoul, we didn't really have an issue, and there was lots of people that knew English, but it's not everybody. So there's many coffee shops. It was very hard to like give my order. I just kind of pointed, and whatever I got. Like, I was happy with it. Everything tasted good. I did know basic phrases. Like, I know how to say hello. I know how to say thank you. But it's still good to know. Like, even with basic numbers, because some of the places we went to, they didn't have the digital cash registers. So it didn't have the total on the cash register, because like when you went to a convenience store, the total's right there, so you know exactly how much cash to give them. Some places like in Daegu, they didn't have a digital cash register, so they didn't have they had to tell you in Korean how much your total was. And I guess it's not the biggest issue because I was getting like a small thing, so I'm like, okay, there's no way it's over 5,000 won, so I'd give them 5,000 won. If they gave me a weird look, then I'd be like, okay, here's 5,000 won. But the biggest time we had issues with this were specifically when ordering food. So I would just recommend at least learn how to say like, I want this, or at least like if you're very particular about coffee, like my father is very particular about coffee. I ended up going on, it's called, what is it called? There's this one Korean app I use. Hello Talk. It's called Hello Talk. And a lot of people in Korea use it. A lot of Americans use it. A lot of people all over the world use it. But I put in my dad's coffee order, and then somebody helped me translate it. And I do know the Korean alphabet. So I was able to memorize my dad's coffee order. So I was able to order his coffee for him. And so that helped him. I don't remember it now because I literally just remember that one phrase. But yeah, so if you have a specific way you like to have foods, just learn that. If you're vegetarian, just learn the phrase for that. If you have any sort of allergies, dietary needs, just try to learn that specific phrase. But other than that, most people did learn English, most people knew English, but the biggest times we had issues were when ordering food at local places. Now, if you go to really touristy places, a lot of those touristy places had tablets, and you could literally order everything on the tablet, and the tablet had a button to make the whole tablet in English. So you didn't need any Korean, you didn't need to interact with anybody at all. But if you really want to try out those local places, I do recommend at least learning some basic phrases. Another thing I did was, so at first, I wasn't very comfortable with my pronunciation when I was looking up some of these phrases. I did try to memorize it, and it was pretty easy. Like, I memorized it. By the second half of our trip, I was able to do all of our orders, and it was all good. I do know the Korean alphabet, so it was easier for me. But before I was fully comfortable, what I did was I copied and pasted that translation into my iPhone Notes app, and I would show the waiter or waitress the Notes app. So I literally showed them, and they just read my phone, and then they were like, okay, and then they got it. But I do think, you should at least try to learn something. more than hello and thank you, just, to help them out. Because, you don't know who will be there as your waitress or waiter. Because there was one person who was a little older, they couldn't read the phone and they didn't have their glasses on them. So I went like so slowly trying to read it using what I knew. And then she was able to understand it, even though I was probably not pronouncing it to my best ability. But still, yeah, just try to know some basic phrases, especially if you have dietary needs or you like things a certain way. But other than that, people are so friendly. There was one restaurant, the owners did not know any English, and a Korean college student, I believe she looked college age, she came up and she actually helped us because she knew English really well, and she went out of her way to help us. And people living there are so friendly. There were so many times in Korea, they randomly struck up conversation with me and my family. They asked us how we were, why we were there, things like that. Especially in Daegu, everybody was so incredibly friendly and so incredibly helpful. I could do a whole video about all the good experiences we had in Korea. If you want to hear that, ask me for a part 2 on this. But there were so many people that went out of their way to help us on different situations. We did not ask. They just saw we were lost. They came up, they knew enough English, and then they helped us out with the situation. There was even this one point at a park, there was a squat toilet. We've never seen a squat toilet before. And these older Korean women, they came up to us because they saw us leave the bathroom, and they're like, oh, they didn't know English, but they were like, oh, you don't know how to use it? And they were trying to mime how to use the squat toilet, which I thought was really nice. And they were laughing the whole time. It was just a really funny, those women were so incredibly nice and funny. It was just a really good situation, but literally from all ages, we experienced everybody being incredibly nice to us. So it's definitely not even an age thing. It's just everybody, they saw us confused or in a weird situation or whatever, or even for safety things, they came up to us and helped us, which I thought was so incredibly sweet that they would go out of their way for that. And it was literally all ages, even elementary kids all the way to when we were at that park, those older ladies helping teach us how to use the squat toilet. But yeah, those are the 5 things I wish I knew before going to South Korea. If this video helped you, please like this video, make sure you subscribe, and make sure if you want to follow along, because I'll be going to Korea very soon and I'll be posting daily vlogs while I'm there. So you'll hopefully be looking forward to that. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.